key to a beautiful floor starts with the installation. But before you start, there are a few things to consider. Inspect the exterior for subfloor ventilation, possible sources of moisture ingress, and any obvious environmental issues. Thoroughly inspect the home for any leaks, and then check the relative humidity and temperature inside the home. Take several readings in different areas and record the results. Room temperature of 15 to 30 degrees Celsius and a humidity range of 30 to 50% is recommended. Whether the subfloor is timber or concrete, it is critical that a moisture test is done and records kept. Relative humidity must not be above 75% or 5% moisture content. Ensure the subfloor meets Australian standards of 3 mm over 1 metre under a straight edge. It must be clean, flat, smooth and level. Obvious high spots should be ground to reduce the amount of leveller material required, and excess adhesive should be removed by light scabbling or grinding. To level the subfloor, Embelton recommends the use of Bostik UL 100. Be sure to follow the mixing instructions on the packaging, and once the area is primed, pour the mixed material on the substrate as soon as possible to avoid any contamination which could affect adhesion. Depending on the desired thickness, either allow the material to seek its own level or spread the material with a steel trowel, keeping the trowel slightly inclined. To ensure curing within 12 hours, the temperature must not drop below 10 degrees Celsius, and the area should have suitable ventilation. Now that you have a clean and level subfloor, you can install 200 micron Embelton Hydrostop underlay, ensuring there are no gaps. It should be taped and run up the walls and fixtures to the thickness of the boards. It is important to carefully plan the placement of the boards before beginning to lay the floor. Working off a snapped visual line, ensure that the boards will be aligned with the main walkway. Narrow boards in the last row or against other impediments will look untidy and be difficult to cut. Consider cutting the first board to the appropriate width to achieve the best possible layout. Consider the size of the flooring raft. Areas larger than 8 metres by 8 metres will require the fitting of internal expansion gaps. All doorways in adjoining rooms should have expansion joints, and door frames need to be undercut to allow movement of the raft. Should you have an irregular wall for the first or last row, the board must be cut to follow the wall's irregularities, allowing for the correct expansion gap. Place spaces between the board and the wall to provide at least a 12 to 15 mm expansion gap around the entire floor. Stagger the boards by cutting the first board of every other row in random length to avoid H-joins in adjacent boards. The boards at the end of each row must not be shorter than 300 mm. If your last board is shorter than this, it is advised to recut the first board in the row. Where a notch around a corner is necessary, simply mark the board for the crosscut, allowing for the expansion gap against the wall. Boards spanning a doorway should leave space for an expansion trim to be placed. The floor must be allowed to move freely utilising the overlap. Remove the spaces and cover the expansion joints, but do not attach them to the floor. Give the floor a general sweep and do a final inspection for any imperfections, repairing as necessary. If you see the homeowner before you leave the premises, please remember to advise them on how to care and maintain their floor. Emphasise that steam mops must never be used